fascinating transition.
Damn it!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and I'm joined as always by Shawn Keenan.
Heidi's real name is Kevin Wendell Crumb.
and of course, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, but the kids always called me Mr. Gas.
That is fantastic. So, for those of you that have got ears, we aren't actually reviewing Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, but we had to kind of put that on there because it's just, it fits so darn well.
One of the best songs ever written.
It's so good.
Agreed. I love that song so much. It's been stuck in my head for like 3 years.
So,
I love the show too.
Does not hurt. Yeah, we will actually be talking about Unbreakable, the M. Night Shyamalan film from 2000 on this week's show. It's amazing how this show came about in particular. So today's episode is brought to you by the people that are so awesome and go down to patreon.com/HMP and, help us out here, man. They voted. Now, when we made this, when I made the selection and everything, it was way before the end of the early, bit of this month, right? Put it out there, and here are the choices and everything. And it was tied up for a little bit. Then Unbreakable ended up winning. And it turns out that Unbreakable has a connection to another movie. Now, we're not going to talk about that on this particular show. If you're one of the patrons, you know that this is we're going to have an entire spoiler for that second movie after this show. So we want you guys to know that we know that you know that we know that you know.
I think we've said too much.
We've already said too much. But patreon.com/HMP, we'll have a big giant spoiler thing on there as well. So thank you guys so much for that. We've got people that have also jumped up on Patreon here, man, and really kind of helped us out with everything. Maria, as always, I think I had her last week. We got another one here. RocketFace changed his donation and jumped it up big time. And I have an email from him I'll read here in just a second. Also want to shout out Bill for pledging in as well. He will be getting this bonus episode, which is awesome, or, with the extra stuff on it. Patreon.com/HMP. So let me read we got two things here. I'll start with the emails. This one is from RocketFace himself.
Shouldn't there be a little song?
Oh, crud. Here comes the post.
Song.
Here, let's do it live, Shawn. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Return to Zelda.
That's not how it goes.
Mail's here.
There we go. We'll do it live from now on.
Who are you, Bill O'Reilly?
Return to Zelda.
Mail's here, Link.
Here, I think.
Perfect. You picked up on my cue like a pro.
There. All right. Because
it's all those years with your improv troupe.
Because people would be mad if we didn't.
Mail's here.
All right, there we go. It took me a minute because I had to search for the darn. Oh, will you stop it already? That's what you get when you try to look. All right, so here's an email. This one is from Micah, a.k.a. RocketFace, as he's been dubbed by the good Dr. Dan Dew. Hello, gentlemen. I'm writing you today to show my admiration and appreciation for what it is that you do. Though I do admonish the crass words of Jake, I must admit that his curtly fashioned letter did bear results that I so desperately desired. So for those of you that don't listen to the Film Find, there was a guy who wrote us a nasty letter who it was a love letter, really, but it was worded quite crassly, saying, hey, do a show, you morons. And that's the cleanest way I can say it. And then we did. So he's thanking us for doing that, and, of course, this show as well. I've donated to your plight in the only way that I can comprehend, financially. Hopefully the pittance that has been bequeathed to you will be used to prolong the breadth of your program as well as multiplying its content. Regretfully, it is just a one-time donation. Hopefully you'll find it sufficient. I most certainly do. Thank you very, very much on that. Always hoping to find both of you and your loved ones happy and healthy, RocketFace. RocketFace, thanks so much, buddy. Believe me, it is absolutely appreciated. It will be put to amazingly good use. There's going to be more and more stuff coming, and I'll have an announcement at the end of the show.
Yeah, and Adam's Jammy Dodgers don't buy themselves, so thank you for that donation.
They don't. So thank you so much for that. That's we're at a precarious situation because I don't want to close the mailbag just yet, but this is technically it's not an iTunes review, but it's a review. So there you have it.
All right.
So let's read that. Still in the mailbag here. It is entitled, HMP is a Dick Grayson. This is from D. Shaw. Hello, Adam, Bruce, and Shawn. I don't have the iTunes because I absolutely hate it and don't use Apple stuff. But I wanted to let you all know what I think of your show. As you may have guessed from the subject line, this email will be an equivalent of a, wait for it, Shawn, humdinger.
Humdinger.
Yes, this will be the opposite of what Dr. Dan Du has to say about you, so here we go. In full disclosure, I'm one of the few female listeners that you have. Yep. And I absolutely love the show. I was first introduced to HMP via Bruce Leslie and his Glorious Heroes and Villains podcast.
Agreed.
4 years running.
Nice little plug there. My husband, who truly loves everything related to comics you could think of, was deeply impressed with Bruce's pleasing baritone voice and the infinite knowledge of every comic book character ever created. Boy, she's really lathering it on here, isn't she? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man, I got to take the love where I can get it.
It's true. It's deserved. I was listening to the Bone episode earlier today myself. So he suggested that I listen because though I love the characters, the movies, and the TV shows, a.k.a. I'm a casual nerd, I knew nearly nothing about the origins of how they came to be created. So I listened and I'm pleased to say that I was hooked. The terror that gripped me when I realized that I was nearly caught up on Bruce's episodes was short-lived because I remember that he often referenced this other podcast he was a part of. Needless to say, I was immediately downloading HMP episodes, listened to my first couple of episodes, the Luke Cage Season 1 reviews, I believe, and I knew I had managed to hit another gold mine. So, to wrap things up, I truly enjoy listening to all of you. I'm amazed Bruce is able to truncate his comic book connection segment down to only a few minutes, considering how much information he truly knows about these characters. I'm in awe of Shawn's ability to connect every movie and show to Sylvester Stallone, because that is genius-level commitment. And I'm excited to hear Adam do, you're pretty cool, too. No, seriously, Adam, you are the glue that holds everything together, and your reviews tend to match mine, so you're the most awesome of all. Anyway, keep it up, guys. You're all stellar, and the show constantly exceeds my expectations, and I am excited for what is to come. Best, D. Shaw. Thank you guys so much. And it also has a P.S. here. P.S. I would be very sad if you guys ever stopped drifting off topic to talk about random unrelated things, so please keep doing that. I seriously love those moments.
Well, let me tell you something, Em. That's never going to happen because that's not the way my brain works.
Yeah.
I will always drift off, always.
There will be at least 3 rabbit holes a month.
I think we were all that kid in class that was just kind of like, what? I'm sorry, I should be listening to what you're saying. No, thank you.
Just to set the record straight, I frequently redirect my teachers back to the topic, so I was a little different.
Why does that not surprise me at all?
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about chlorophyll.
I think it'll become pretty clear which character in Unbreakable is most like me as this review unfolds.
I think it will be. Well, so thank you so much there for that. Maybe not an iTunes review, but it's just as good in our hearts. I'm going to call that a 5-star, a.k.a. humdinger.
Humdinger.
And we really appreciate that. Somebody's going to be number 90, man. Somebody's going to be number 90 on the humdinger list. Actually, technically 2 people are, because Dr. Dan Du's still like a 2-star. So technically 2 more people will get the number. One will get the number 90, and one will get the actual 90th 5-star review. Thank you guys so much for all that good stuff. And of course, if you would like to email us, heromoviepodcast@gmail.com. Let's close up the mailbag.
Bale's here.
Oh, boy. Good stuff, man. All right. So, as we said at the top of the show, we have an interesting one here for you. Let's get to the trailer for M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable.
Hi. You're in the emergency room in the Philadelphia City Hospital. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Where were you sitting on the train?
Against the window.
In the passenger car?
Yes.
certain you were in the passenger car?
Yeah. Where are the other passengers?
Your train derailed. Took a curve too fast. A second train collided with yours after it derailed. The debris spread over 1 mile.
Why are you looking at me like that?
There are 2 reasons why I'm looking at you like this. 1, because it seems you are the only survivor of this train wreck. And 2, you don't have a scratch on you.
I know what's going through your mind right now. You're searching for meaning in all of this. Know one thing. 131 people died so you could finally understand the destiny for which you were born. Are you ready for the truth?
All right, that was the trailer for Unbreakable, our Patreon review of this month. Here's the IMDb plot line, simple and sweet. A man learns something extraordinary about himself after a devastating accident. Well, it's as clear as cut as it can be, huh? Written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Wright, Spencer Treat Clark, and more. Now, this is not a, not pulled from the pages of Marvel or DC or, heck, even Dark Horse for that matter. But I'm sure Bruce Leslie has a little something cooked up for us in this week's Comic Book Connection.
Well, first off, I have to apologize because this one is going to be a lot longer than usual. This is a public service announcement about the dangers of osteogenesis imperfecta, the disease that causes a blue tinge to the whites of the eyes, short height, loose joints, hearing loss, breathing problems, problems with teeth. And just to set the record straight, type 2 is the most severe, not type 4. And also, I'll point out that there are 8 total types, not the 4 types that Mr. Glass seemed to suggest. Now, do you guys think that's enough about genetic pathology?
No.
Please continue.
Okay, well, we're going to start with the inheritance patterns of the 8 types. Everybody get out your chalkboard because we're going to have to draw some trees because there's partial expression. There's not a total dominance to it. It has some unpredictable inheritance patterns.
Mr. Leslie,
I've got
will this be on the test?
Chalkboard. Is that going to do it, or should I go get a bigger one?
You need to just get a Sharpie and go to work on the wall there. But let's talk about heroes and villains. And I'm not talking about my excellent other podcast. I'm talking about the coupling of heroes and villains here. Now, in this movie, Elijah talks about the comic trope of heroes and villains being intimately linked in their origin stories, often as friends before being enemies. And he's not wrong. Now, in Golden Age Smallville, Lex Luthor was a friend of Clark Kent's with a head of beautiful red hair that would have made Crystal Gale jealous because Crystal Gale's still the go-to celebrity for nice hair, isn't she, Shawn?
Man, her hair bums me out. Cut that thing, lady.
I love Crystal Gale and her hair.
Man,
prefer her sister.
Cut that hair, lady. Jeez.
Well, during one of his routine mad scientist experiments, Lex Luthor's lab caught on fire, and Superboy put it out with his super breath. Unfortunately, he blew a massive dose of depilatory chemicals on Lex's head and ruined his future prospects at a lucrative Pantene shampoo and conditioner spokesperson contract. So he reacted to this quaff-based travesty by setting his sights on conquering the world and maybe obliterating Sweden. Sometimes I get my stories confused. Now, there's also Kane Marco, a.k.a. the Juggernaut of X-Men Original Trilogy fame. And you may not know this, but he was the stepbrother of Charles Xavier. Kane Marco's father, Charles's stepfather, Kurt Marco, always favored Charles over his own son, and he also abused his own son, Kane, quite a bit. Now, Kane grows up resenting Charles and bullies him frequently. Kane Marco and his stepbrother Charles serve in the U.S. Army, and they're stationed in Korea during the Korean War. Thank you for your service, 4077th. But Marco finds a hidden temple dedicated to the entity Sidorak. Kane then proceeds to get the power of the Juggernaut and use his juggernautery to make Charles's life a living heck. Also, years before Oliver Queen would become Green Arrow, he was inspired to take up archery by the archer Merlin the Magician. Once Green Arrow began to become famous, the two met again as Merlin challenged the Green Arrow to a public archery contest and defeated him. With that victory under his belt, Merlin vanished for years, only to resurface as a member of the League of Assassins. Victor Von Doom famously was given a scholarship to Empire State University, where he became an acquaintance and in some versions a roommate of the other genius in school, Reed Richards. One day, Victor designed an invention to rescue his mother, which would become his greatest downfall. Reed Richards attempted to warn Victor of an error in his calculations. However, Von Doom's arrogance refused to let him listen. The machine exploded and put a tiny scar on his face and also led to his expulsion from the university and a career of villainy. Orm Curry. I'm sure this one's your favorite, Adam. Orm Curry was Aquaman's fully human half-brother, and he resented the fact that he had none of Aquaman's powers, so he became the Ocean Master, a high-tech pirate dedicated to overthrow Aquaman and usurp his throne of Atlantis. Unable to survive underwater, he made a special costume and helmet to help him breathe while he was in the ocean, and he clashed with Aquaman many times. I could also talk about the preacher that wants to kick the ever-living tar out of God, but we have another show for that. There's also the time Captain America had to take down the Winter Soldier. A former Robin became Batman's nemesis, the Red Hood. And there were also possible family ties between Sabretooth and Wolverine. People will remember that Chris Claremont originally envisioned them as father and son. But I think you guys know my favorite pairing when it comes to heroes and villains, and that's Magneto and Professor X. Eric Lesher fled Nazi-ravaged Europe to go to Israel, where he befriended Charles Xavier. There, the two debated the consequences of humanity faced with the rise of mutants, though neither revealed to the other that they were mutants themselves. Now, when they finally revealed their abilities to one another, one of them went down a tragically misguided path to carve out a way for mutants to exist in the world. But on the other hand, Magneto chose the right way. He chose to meet force with force and crush the oppressors who would return him to the horrors he had survived during the Holocaust. The point I'm trying to make here is that when it comes to heroes and villains, the most annoying ride at Disney World is right. It's a small world after all. And I think we firmly established that I'm destined to be the supervillain of the group. So my question is, which of you will oppose me and what will be your superhero name?
I've got to tell you, I'm very surprised to learn that your two favorites are Xavier and Magneto, because I always thought that your favorite hero-villain duo was Captain Planet and Captain Pollution.
Well, I kind of like Captain Pollution a little too much to ever pull for Captain Planet.
Gotcha.
Some scumbags you just got to take down with the right that's right.
You know, the mullet won me over for a while, but then, I was more into rat tails, so I lost interest.
Mm-hmm.
What are you overcompensating with the actual mullet? A rat tail's all you need.
When I went to college, I took two things with me, my Camaro and my rat tail.
Hey, ladies, you want to see what a beat-up IROC looks like?
I was playing little Billy Squire, just like that scene in Billy Madison.
Man, that's super sweet.
You kids dig REO
So
Speedwagon?
before we get into, because you guys, I think you guys are figuring out I like to talk about generalities before we get into the business.
What?
Yeah.
So the first thing that I want to bring up is, do you guys remember watching this movie when it came out?
Absolutely.
I didn't see it in the theater. I watched it on home video, but I do remember the first time I watched it.
Mine was definitely in theater.
The reason why I'm saying this to you is that this movie, it's 15 years old now, so not a whole lot of people are going to remember this, but
17.
This movie did not tell you it was a superhero movie. That was the big reveal.
Mm-hmm.
This movie kind of tricked the normal folk who don't like them superhero movies into watching this movie.
Dang it, they got me.
And it was a pleasant trick, though, to me, because none of the promotional material led you to know this was a superhero movie, but the movie starts with a black screen with white letters talking about comic books. And when I saw it, I had seen The Sixth Sense, and I'd heard this wasn't a bad movie, so I thought, I like The Sixth Sense. I'll watch this, and I was expecting something sort of like The Sixth Sense. And when it starts out talking about comic books, I knew immediately that I was probably going to like this better than The Sixth Sense.
And do you like this movie better than The Sixth Sense?
Yes.
Me too. I do also.
Yeah.
What about you, Adam?
This still is for me Shyamalan's like just gold standard. This is his best movie.
This is the movie where everything that came after this movie made me go, "Oh, come on, man, what are you doing? Oh, come on, man, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but The Sixth Sense is one of those that only works once. I think it's not rewatchable in the least.
Oh, no. I think it is. I think
this
it
one's
is
rewatchable.
I think Sixth Sense is at least rewatchable one more time because he does
Yeah,
leave
I
a lot
agree
of
with that.
lovely breadcrumbs along the way to where you look back, he is telling you this the entire time, as with Unbreakable.
I'm not gonna try to inflate my own abilities here, but I figured out The Sixth Sense before the end the first time I watched it because I picked up on all those things the first time. So I really didn't get much the second time.
Well, honey, we can't all be as smart as you. My goodness. Come on.
I remember right after, he gets shot thinking, "Oh, he's dead." And then Shyamalan tricked me for the rest of the movie so that when it comes back around at the end, it was like, "Oh, damn you, M. Night."
To me, that was like, the big thing is, we'll jump all around here a little bit, but this movie ended the way I wished Sixth Sense would have actually ended. Because Sixth Sense has like a big, giant, almost epilogue, and one of the epilogue scenes is actually, well, probably like 2 or 3 epilogue scenes, but one of them is I'd hate to lose it with Haley Joel Osment and his mom in the car, because that scene is just unbelievably good. I hate to lose that, but really, we should have found out he was dead, black credits, and you're done, right? But this movie basically does that ending proper, where he really had the guts to just end it where it was supposed to end.
I think we should have found out he was dead in a mid-credits teaser.
Now you're just
Like, just have him pop up. "Oh, guess what, guys? I was dead the whole time. See you later."
Bye.
That would work.
It
You
looks
think we
like
should
that's
have
what he's doing now.
Do you think we should have warned people that we were going to spoil The Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense is almost 20 years old at this point, as is this movie. Get over it.
Now,
we're showing amazing restraint with this movie, actually.
I've got a general question here, too, because you're the only 2 people on Earth who've had the same kind of experience with movies over the past 2 weeks that I have. But did you guys see a lot of parallels with Greatest American Hero when you were watching this? Because I kind of did.
That's funny, man. I did. I did.
And I think the only way you would possibly do that is to watch the 2 movies sort of back to back the way we did. But I started seeing it.
Now, if he had given him a suit, it would have.
Aliens gave him a poncho.
Ooh, there you go. Aliens gave me this magic poncho, but we have lost the directions for it. So
No,
good luck.
it has the directions, but it's written in Alien, so he doesn't know how to read it.
And at the same time, it's a PSA for literacy.
Because we have Elijah, a.k.a. this movie's Robert Culp here. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
The kid giving him some instruction on how to do things.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's not far off.
But
yeah,
I'll say this. I want to go on record as saying Robin Wright's great, but she's no Connie Selica.
I don't know that.
Man, I totally disagree with you.
I'm just sitting there the whole time. I'm just going, she's always been great. Man, she's an amazing actress. She's quite easy on the eyes, and
she's dynamite.
Yeah, but I'll never forgive her for the way she played around with Forrest Gump's emotions.
Well, that is true.
You blame.
That is true. She's terrible. She's probably the worst character in all of moviedom.
But man, she's also wasn't she Princess Buttercup?
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my goodness, that's some holy ground there when you've been in The Princess
Quite
Bride.
a
Her and
swap.
Andre the Giant, 2 of the greatest actors ever.
The other thing that was surprising watching this movie is how many people are in this movie that are like good actors in their own right now that are just have small parts in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like seeing Michael Kelly as the doctor at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah,
it's like, oh wow, man, like wow.
Yeah, you sit back and you just go, oh yes, he was once a very little known character actor, Michael Kelly. Now he's just blown up.
Even the lady that played Elijah's mom was killing it for the small time she was on screen.
She was unbelievably good.
And I noticed her last name was Woodard, and I didn't know if maybe she's related to Alfre Woodard or not, but she kind of really killed it for a small role.
Have you looked it up?
I haven't looked at anything up other than what her name is.
I don't know. Anyways, but
It's not-
while Shawn looks,
I'm looking it up right
while
now.
Shawn
It's
looks
not
that up,
actually-
no, it's fantastic, and we'll even talk about, because I checked out the Blu-ray here because there were some questions on Twitter, and we'll even talk about some of the deleted scenes, and she's in one of the deleted scenes as well.
No connection to Alfie Woodard.
There you go.
Now, one of the reasons I didn't look it up is I was reading just the cast and stuff on Wikipedia instead of IMDb, and under the plot description, it described Elijah Price as a comic shop owner, and I got so angry I busted my computer, so I haven't been able to look anything up.
And it tossed it across the room, and that was that. So it's over now.
But he's definitely not a comic shop owner.
Okay.
Definitely not. He would be very upset to hear that.
Good.
Yeah.
And the weird part too is that the guy, towards the end of the movie with the orange suit on that Bruce Willis like saves the people from, that dude, I know that dude. I've worked with that guy. His name is Chance Kelly, and I couldn't believe it because I haven't seen this movie in like 10 years. And I worked with him for years on Homeland. And so to see him in this role, I was like, "Oh my God, you're kidding me." He's a really great guy. I like that
Okay,
guy.
I was hoping you would say in real life he was exactly like this character.
Yeah. Hey, has anyone been to Chance's house yet? Do we know if it's his house?
They just kidnapping broads left and right. You know how things are.
No, he's the nicest guy. It was just really shocking to see, how different my life is from when this movie came out to right now. It was like, wow, I can't believe it.
And I guess we also all agree that at the root of it, this is Elijah's story, not David Dunn's, right?
Well, all good comic book stories are the supervillain.
And he is the character I definitely identify with the most, so I think that helps.
Again, you're also, evil incarnate. We all know that, so that makes total sense.
I've never bench pressed 350 pounds, but I have knocked over comics in a comic shop.
But I have sat in defiance in a wheelchair and really jacked up a comic shop. Bruce Leslie.
And I could just imagine if I had a piece of Jack Kirby art for sale and some guy wanted to buy it for his 4-year-old, it would have played out exactly like this movie.
Honestly, like even back in the day, like that was my thought. I was just like, no, he's absolutely right. This does not belong in a child's room. I wanted to stand up and clap for that man. Good job. Keep it out of the hands of these ruffians who just going, Jeb. What a great name to put in there. Jeb. What a dumb child, stupid sounding name, Jeb. My God. And you're just like, you pictured this bumpkin child that it was too.
So is this movie better or worse than you remember?
I think I remembered it pretty much the way it is.
Yeah.
I remembered it being good and I liked it.
I think about it as good as
Me
as
too,
I
man.
remember.
I had forgotten that I watched this movie a bunch when it came out. I knew almost shot for shot where they were going, and that doesn't happen very often anymore.
Yeah.
And there was they put out they put out some really good DVDs from like The Sixth Sense, and when this came out, they repackaged Sixth Sense and put this one out in like a really nice quality Blu-ray or DVD rather at the time that had nice booklet in it. I think actually had some like art, like Alex Ross art.
What?
Done as if memory serves, it may not have been Alex Ross, but I feel like, again, this is a long time ago at this point. But,
I just looked it up. It was some guy named Greg Ross.
Ah, shucks. So close. But and part of me also kind of, and again, this may just be my mind smashing things together, but Alex Ross is in on a special feature of the DVD as well. Talking
Very
about
nice.
talking just about comics. There's a comic
I wonder.
history thing.
I wonder if he did the actual art that they used in this story.
It
'Cause
does look like his artwork.
Yeah, and because like the Active Comics, I don't know where they got the inspiration for that title, but that could have been Ross, especially when they had those pencils. I mean, somebody knew what they were doing to have the pencils on Bristol board up in the museum there. That wasn't just something put together by some idiot from the art department.
Well, they are in the art department, Bruce.
Well, here's the other thing that I wanted to bring up as a generality is that the production designer on this movie in particular is so terrific and so thoughtful, and it's amazing when you're watching in the background on this show because David Dunn's colors are green, and everything around David Dunn is green, and everything around Mr. Glass is purple.
Well, the purple was actually chosen by Sam Jackson.
Yeah,
That's
he
right.
loves purple.
And so whenever you are seeing a David Dunn scene, you're going to see a whole lot of green in the background. Whenever you see Mr. Glass, it's a whole lot of purple. But when they are in the same room together, it is purple and green all the time. And it is so thoughtful and so well done. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, it's one of those things. Mm-hmm. And I just enjoyed the hell out of looking at the backgrounds in this movie, which is a movie that I already loved. So, it's like another added nicety where you're just like, wow, he really was firing on all cylinders for this movie.
And even from the beginning too, just something about the craft of filmmaking, not about the story, not about the acting, but I just love that it's like the second scene of the movie, I guess, where David Dunn is sitting on the train next to that lady, and the camera shot is between the two seats in front, like from the eye line of a 5-year-old, and it just angles back and forth smoothly from face to face as they talk. That's just something I hadn't really seen done much, and I loved that, and it really gave it that personal feeling that you need for a story like this.
Well, the other part to this too is that he really seems to know what he's doing in this movie in particular, where it's not really quick Michael Bay cuts that I hate. He takes his time with everything. He's telling a story. There's not a ton of dialogue in this movie.
You're right.
There's a whole lot of slow panning shots. There's a lot of dolly. That scene where he's in the basement lifting weights. I mean, how much dialogue is in that basement? And maybe half a page.
Yeah.
And this is a solid 100% superhero movie with almost no action that works great.
Yeah,
agreed.
Well, and here's the thing. This is like the height of Shyamalan's career and everything. Right off of The Sixth Sense, which was just like, he had so much, like, he was a really brash, like, because he'd made like 3 movies prior to Sixth Sense, right? 2 or 3 movies.
I thought it was just
didn't know that.
No, it was at least 2.
Let me take a look.
Was one of them a wedding? Like, did he videotape a wedding and count that?
Now, if you do get the Blu-ray, there is a sequence of a movie that he shot as a child to kind of show you how bad his action directing is. Those are his words, not mine. But he's not wrong. So he's done action before.
He did a lot of action in that Last Airbender.
Yeah. Well. Let's not talk about that movie.
Okay, Adam, you were right. It's 2. There's one called Praying with Anger, and the other one's called Wide Awake.
Right. Okay. So Adam's right again. So this is movie number 3 for him. Now, those movies did not do
Adam's right again.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say for once. I really did.
Nope, again. So he did those 2 movies. Those movies really didn't make a whole heck of a lot of money, right? He wrote The Sixth Sense and contacted his manager and just said, look, I've got this movie. It's called The Sixth Sense. I'm going to be attached to direct it. I'm putting it out. It's going to, basically he's like, start the bidding, let the bidding war begin, right? And everybody's like, what the heck is this? Everybody saw it, they loved it, made a big giant movie. So at this point, he's got so much clout, he can do whatever he wants. Don't look. What do you think the production budget for Unbreakable was?
30 million.
Yeah, 30 million.
$70 million.
Wow.
And that's 2000 money right there. So that's easily.
So did Bruce Willis get 20 million or something absurd like that to blow up?
Here's the thing. Here's where all that money went. It went to Bruce Willis, it went to Sam Jackson, and it sure as shooting went to M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
I like that. It sure shooting went to Shyamalan.
Well,
if I were a director, that would be my first rule is I would have to get at least 70% of the budget for myself.
Well, I mean, if you look at the title credit for him and everything, written, produced, and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, so it just goes, I got paid for this movie.
Well, again, with something like this, though, I don't mind when a director's taking that much money from the budget because he literally lifted this thing off the ground from
110%. I mean, everyone who got paid on this movie deserved it. 100%.
Yeah.
But he was really smart on New Jersey Devil. He took the back end money or whatever, the elevator movie.
That was a good flick, man.
It's called New Jersey Devil.
No, it's just called Devil, but it's good.
Oh. But is it set in New Jersey? Where did I get the New Jersey part?
I don't
It's
know.
a hockey team, isn't it?
It's a hockey
That's
team.
a hockey team, and or you're just like New Jersey or something. I don't know. But no, Devil he actually wrote, and that was at a weird time in his career because like literally when you were in the theater and saw the Devil trailer. Up there came from the mind of M. Night Shyamalan. You would literally hear laughter in the theater when that came out.
Well, there's a YouTube video where a guy was literally shooting people's reactions to seeing M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it was like it happened everywhere. It happened in the theater that I was in, and I was just like, well, I'm gonna give this a shot, and it's a darn good movie. So I mean, if you have a chance, it's usually on Netflix, man. Check out Devil. It's good.
Well, since we're going down one of our weekly rabbit holes,
Yeah.
In all honesty, was there more than one really bad movie Shyamalan did? I mean, how did his reputation tank so quick?
There's 3.
What are the 3? Because I probably haven't seen them, but what are the 3 that are really bad? And I'm going to be upfront here. Last Airbender did not bother me.
Well, that's the big one.
That's
but-
one. That's the one that really sent him into true director's jail.
I
And
like
actually-
that. I like that the same way I like Warcraft, which means I genuinely like them, and I don't know why they're so bad to other people.
Let me rephrase that. You genuinely have no taste in movies, so because those are awful.
Well, let me explain to you, Bruce, how things worked out for him, right? So he makes 2 gigantic hit movies in a row with Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. Then he makes Signs, which is also a big success, but not
Quite.
It's not quite as well received as the last 2.
Yeah, it was box office success, not critical.
Right. And then he makes The Village, which also is a little lesser than Signs.
But
Which
I
I
wouldn't say
liked.
it was incompetent. I would
Right.
not say it was incompetent.
And
But
it-
it's not. You're right. But what starts happening is that everyone starts seeing that he has these twister endings to them. And so people are waiting for, when they see M. Night Shyamalan, they're waiting for the twist ending, which then becomes I'm waiting for the stupid twist ending.
It
with
literally
this one,
became
which is
a
a lady in the lady in the water.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I totally forgot that existed. I was thinking his only really bad one was the Plant movie with Marky Mark.
Well, we'll get to that in a second.
But
so
I want to touch on The Happening real quick, or not The Happening, but Lady in the Water real quick.
Yeah.
Is that like that was his personal kind of throwing the bird to everybody because the writer in it is very misunderstood and all this
yeah,
other
he's
stuff.
the Christ figure in his own movie.
Yeah, he like the movie the critic is the one who's wrong and has problems. Go ahead.
Right. So, and that's exactly what I was going to say about Lady of the Water is not only did he write a movie telling people that critics are terrible and that writers are brilliant, he puts himself in the role of the Christ-like writer figure, and the critic is the enemy in the movie itself, and is laughable and it is awful. Then I don't know. I might have to look this up, but I'm just going to talk. So the next thing that comes up is he makes The Last Airbender. Now, in my house, The Last Airbender, the Nickelodeon show, is gospel. It's one of the hallmarks to the Keenan household. There is not a single person in it who doesn't think it's brilliant. We've watched all of them. We even watched.
Did you follow Legend of Korra?
We also watched Legend of Korra. It is sacrosanct. You cannot beat this thing. It's bulletproof. We love this movie. We love this TV series so much that when we saw Last Airbender in the movie theater, we knew not only halfway through this is a pile of garbage. We knew that this franchise was dead. It was dead. It was dead instantly. And I actually have personal information on this because when I worked on Hunger Games, the guy who's the production designer on Hunger Games was also the production designer on The Last Airbender. And so when the movie had been in the theater for about a month, 2 months, they called whoever made the movie, I can't even remember who it is, I think it's New Line, call the production designer into a meeting and say, whose fault is this? Why is this happening to our movie? And they basically wanted him to roll over M. Night Shyamalan. They wanted to hear, this is M. Night Shyamalan's fault.
Mm-hmm.
This is his problem. And he said, I know what you're trying to get me to do. You want me to throw everything on M. Night, but it's not just him. I mean, there were way too many cooks in the kitchen on this movie, and that was the problem. You know, he is going to be the first line of blame because he's the director of it. But there are so many other people to blame for this movie that you can't just throw it all on M. Night.
And it also, I mean, even in pre-production, it got a major monkey wrench thrown at it when the title Avatar suddenly wasn't available. You know what I mean?
Right. Without a doubt, because that's the name of the dang cartoon is Avatar.
And the biggest shame
Now,
is that he claims himself to be a huge fan of the television show, and
Well,
you
here's
certainly couldn't see it in the film.
My defense of the Last Airbender movie is that I'm the kind of guy that, like, I'm familiar with a lot of stuff, even if I'm not necessarily a member of the fandom. So I'm familiar with Avatar, the cartoon, and I know kind of the premise, but I'm not a person like Shawn who's watched it deeply. But I know enough not to be lost when I watch the movie, but I don't know so much that the movie angers me. And that's the same thing with Warcraft. Is I don't play World of Warcraft, never have. Play Hearthstone, so I know some of the characters. I'm a little familiar with the mythos, and I know just enough not to be lost, but not so much that I get angry when they go wrong. And I find that really helps me to enjoy stuff sometimes. And I thought they were both fun. I mean, neither of them were 4-star movies, but I don't regret having watched either of them. I had fun. It was a nice visual spectacle, a little bit of mythos there. I enjoyed both of them.
And I think another really weird thing with The Last Airbender is that a lot of people had complaints over the whitewashing, which, you know, Hollywood does that all the time. But also, as a man of color, he actively made all the bad guys people of color.
I know.
And I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Seriously.
I mean, wasn't he himself the firebender?
No, that was that was a Patel, but is Dave Patel? Is that Dev?
I don't know.
I forget the kid's name. So
Dev Patel, he's a big time, man.
Yeah, he's Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
he's
great
got
actor.
He's got another movie out this year that's got a lot of Academy stuff. Lion, is the name of it. But
so
really,
I got the timeline wrong because before The Last Airbender is The Happening.
Yeah, that came out the year before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
that movie is so awful, and not only is it bad because of the subject matter that plants are trying to kill everybody, but making Mark Wahlberg a scientist is about the dumbest casting.
No. He's just a high school teacher.
Okay, you're right.
Just he's nothing. We've all had some pretty dumb teachers in our life, and all he's hey guys, I'm just a biology teacher here to just tell you some stuff about frogs. What's the big deal?
I don't think Marky Mark knows anything about biology. I'll be honest.
I'm telling you, there's butterflies all over the place.
He does talk to animals, man. He does talk to animals.
Hey, how's your mom?
There you go.
So here. There is one thing after, because he's not in director's jail yet, Adam, remember. Because he still does, after The Last Airbender, his next movie is After Earth, the Will Smith movie with his son.
The reason I say he's kind of maybe one foot in jail, 1 foot on a banana peel, because his name appeared nowhere in any of the advertising for After Earth, which we were reviewed on the Film Find way back in the day, if you'd like to go take a look at that. But yeah, they've got him completely out of there. Now, that is not a story that is by him. He actually just directed someone else's material. He also kind of claims, hey, that's why it kind of sucked, because it's not me. But he didn't have the reins on that.
And I would say that it wasn't
boy.
Directed poorly. I don't think he's a bad director at all. I just think he got to this point in his career where no one could edit him. You know, he had enough juice that he couldn't be edited, and he let himself down what I like to call the Lucas way. And then maybe he's coming back around.
100%. And here's the thing. A lot of times when directors get big and everything, they end up solving problems not with talent but with money. That was a big problem with George Lucas. That was a problem also with M. Night Shyamalan. He got more money. He got more say. People would not say no to him. So he just did whatever the heck he wanted to do. And you have to have some people say no. So that's when we go to, I'm stealing this from the Slash Filmcast because it's absolutely brilliant, the Shyamalan-assance. came.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
It is. With 2015 and The Visit. So he went over to Blumhouse and actually did that movie. And, very low budget, scored huge. People loved it. His next movie, Split, people loved it. So there's so much stuff that guy's doing. He's really kind of making his way back around. But Unbreakable was still, like, to me, the height of his powers with everything that he's doing.
I would kind of liked it if instead of being an auteur, he would have just directed more movies. I won't say more movies like After Earth, but directed more movies where he was just the director. I would have liked to have seen that because I love some of his choices as a director.
I don't know that I go that far. I think he just needs to be kept in check, and I think he does what I think a lot of great creative people do, where it's just like, hey, we're going to give you X amount of money. Now just go make something good. You don't get any more. Here's what you have. I want you to do the best thing that you can with this bit right here. I'm limiting you to this square. If, anything in this square, it's all yours. Go at it. Do it. Make it the best that you can. Anything outside of that square, you can't do it. And that's where the best creativity
I totally
can come
agree with you. I think that they need to do kind of what Kevin Smith is doing now, where here's $1 million. Make whatever you want with that $1 million. But with Shyamalan, you probably need something along the lines more of like a $30 million budget. But I totally agree with you.
And it's also sort of like the Josh Trank model. You get $1 million to make a great movie. You get $200 million to murder a franchise that's already been murdered twice.
Yeah. I mean, like,
it's so hard to believe that the Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer is the best Fantastic Four movie we've ever gotten. It's unbelievable to me.
I mean, just to give you an idea, The Visit only cost $5 million. $5 million. That's it. That is ridiculously low. Whereas After Earth had a budget of $130 million.
That's why the indie circuit in Hollywood has had this long love affair of low budget horror movies, man, because you could do that on the cheap. And if you rake in $12 million on a budget of $1 million, man, that's better than raking in 230 on a budget of 210.
And here's the thing: Jason Blum is a genius at what he does. He really, truly is.
And I hate to throw any sort of praise Sandler's direction, but that's what he does now, man. He makes $2 to $3 million movies that make $5 million, and they know they're going to get $2 million out of it.
Yep.
That's all you got to do. If you turn Hollywood a profit, they will keep making whatever garbage you want. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
So Unbreakable, guys.
So Elijah, let's talk about the baby being born in a department store.
Well, we're not going to go beat by beat through this.
We're not. But
for 17 hours.
A couple of the big shows.
We're not going to go beat by beat. But this is the one. Well, there's two moments that are sort of period pieces that aren't in what was present day when this movie was made. So I just wanted to see what your impression was, because I felt like that opening with the baby being born didn't flow real good with the rest of the movie, and I almost wonder if that could have been done just a little less.
Oh, no, absolutely not. What a great ambiguous opening.
Well, but I would have liked a little more ambiguity. The doctor takes a look at the baby. He doesn't even examine the baby with his hands or anything. He takes a look and goes, his arms and legs are broken, he has X-ray eyes. That's the superhero in this movie. He should just go, something's wrong, something's bad wrong, and then fade to black, and we don't know, did the baby live? Did the baby die? What's wrong with this baby? But as soon as he goes, the arms and legs are broken, and we kind of know it's brittle bones.
No, we don't. He's like...
I know.
Well, listen, honey, we all can't be as smart as you.
Honey.
Because here's the thing. You're a genius amongst us all. We cop to that 100%. But the fact that it's all done in just one great shot, working with the mirror there and everything, and just fantastic performances from everyone, just the accusatory nature of the doctor. He is holding the baby in the scene, so he does literally hold the baby. So he does know that. But he looks at her, it looks back at the nurse and just like, did you drop him? And she is just appalled at what he said. It's just like, how dare you? And it is such a great scene. Very, to me, again, without knowing ahead of time, very ambiguous, and then just gets into it. And I thought that was great.
And I would have even liked it if we never saw the mother. We just see the swaddling that lets us know a baby is there, and the doctor goes, there's something wrong with this baby. And then we spend some of the movie wondering if that was David Dunn's birth or not.
You're pointing at a great scene and saying it's no good. What is wrong with you? You're a madman.
But on the other hand, man, I really love the part where the camel passes gas in Phantom Menace.
Didn't you though? That Bruce Leslie. He's a connoisseur, isn't he?
Well, see, you guys got a chance to set me straight. And then the other period piece that I liked a lot better is when Elijah is at the playground and Mom gives him that Act of Comics #1, and that whole moment I think really shows off the talent of that actress that played his mother. And then also I like young Elijah there at the same time. I like the idea that she's bribing him with comic books to get him to interact with people a little bit, and sort of explains how comics became so important enough to really derange this guy's perception of reality.
Here's the big thing that I want everybody to because I know this conversation is going to make people want to go back and watch this movie again, because it does. When you start thinking about it, you're like, gosh, I got to watch that movie again. And I was stoked that the Patreon people picked this thing, man, because it's such a good movie. But this is a movie all about framing. The framing in this film is absolutely fantastic. There's always frame within frames on everything. Everybody goes, oh, the long takes. The long takes are good, but like also look at all the framing. Look at all of the reflection. There's so much that's played off of reflection in this movie. It's astounding.
Well, hold on. You narrow that down, because the only time you see reflections in this movie are when Mr. Glass is on screen.
Well, yeah. Well, you see, there's a couple against like the window of the train, and then like small ones like that. But
okay,
just when he's leaning up against the glass and stuff, I don't know. It's really good looking stuff. But you're right. The majority of that stuff is done with Mr. Glass, like in the mirror at the beginning and in the television set and things of that nature. Correct. And also within the little the mirror that he's looking up in the comic shop and stuff, all that kind of it is a recurring thing for sure.
Right.
And this is a weird thing that came to my mind when I watched this, but within the past year or so, there was a major Amtrak accident. Did that happen in Philadelphia?
Not up on my train stuff.
Because I'm really feeling like that horrible, terrible tragedy where the Amtrak train derailed and killed people was in Pennsylvania, maybe even in Philadelphia. And I just sort of had a weird little like flash to that when I'm watching this movie, wondering whether or not that happened in Philadelphia.
Not sure, but pretty much all of Shyamalan's movies are in Philly.
I know that his
boy.
movies are, but hopefully, whatever. I just had this weird, like this bizarre reverse 9/11 effect.
So where you just go, like maybe Shyamalan just thought up of Mr. Glass after having seen a horrific accident or something.
Yeah, but it's something that happened 15 years after the movie was made. But then it started to make me wonder if maybe people in Philadelphia would not want to watch this movie now. Especially if I'm right about where the Amtrak accident happened. But anyway, so when we I'm trying to think about the next thing that really caught my attention on this, and I think that I'd like to talk about this loveless marriage. Mm-hmm. There are movies that do this sometimes, and nothing makes me feel more uncomfortable than feeling like I'm living in the house with this couple that their marriage is over and it's swirling the drain and they just haven't done anything yet.
Let me tell you, 2000 Adam versus 2017 Adam, this is a different movie.
Yeah. Well, I've been in this situation. We've all been in this situation before. And man, that is more miserable than the death of a loved one on screen, to just sit there and have that emptiness, that despair, that just dead relationship that nobody has buried yet.
Here's the nice part.
It was 2015 when the Amtrak crash happened, by the way. Ooh. I was trying to vamp and look it up at the same time, and it was a Philadelphia derailment.
Yowza.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm sure that there were tasteless people who probably mentioned this movie at that time.
I wouldn't doubt it. But here's the nice part about their relationship and everything. It is wildly underplayed. Like they don't two people aren't shouting at each other. They're not having big, horrible, arguments or anything. It's just everything is gone. And that's such a great point to play.
Yeah, all that shouting is already over and done with. Yeah. This is just a matter of, to be honest, neither of them can afford to move out just yet. Mm-hmm. Or more specifically, she doesn't think she has to move out and he can't afford to move out.
Right.
Because, she's making the money. He's a security guard. She's a physical therapist. She's paying the bulk of the bills. And he feels trapped there.
Mm-hmm. And that's why. And that's when, with the train accident, he was coming back from New York on a big giant interview that he went on. So That was the big thing, but it doesn't feel like he's going to get it, and so it's still kind of trapped there, so to speak.
And maybe there's a part of me that's just wickedly dead inside, but at the end of the movie, as the resolution of the movie, despite all these incredible things that we've seen, I would have liked to still see him moving out, and even becoming a superhero wasn't enough to save that relationship.
I think it would be interesting to see that, but I'd also like how they kept it very kind of open. Could be anything. You're left to put that imagination to work, or it either ended happily or as we say, ended Bruce Leslie.
Yeah,
where everyone...
I just would have liked to have seen that, and then because that would be the last. Say there were, and I'm speaking in theoretical terms. Say there were another Unbreakable movie. The one thing that would hold him back from fully embracing his character, his superhero persona of Poncho Man, would be the fact that he does have that wife and kid.
What if he said his name was like Pancho Verde or something, and like he
Pancho Villa, yeah,
yeah, that's it. The Verde is like salsa. I'm hungry.
I
clearly.
like to think of him as the head poncho.
Head poncho
Although,
in charge.
I think Pancho Verde means green poncho, so that would have worked.
All right, there you go.
It would.
Look, oh my gosh! Again, Adam is right again. Everybody, Patreon.com/HMP.
Like 15 years, everybody.
Stick around. Will he get the hat trick?
Oh, let's not push our luck.
Is the loveless marriage kind of a theme that Shyamalan returns to a few times? I seem to remember, that maybe things weren't going so well between Bruce Willis and his wife while he was still alive in The Sixth Sense, and that's part of
Robin Wright.
And that's part of how they play off that we're not supposed to notice that he never talks to his wife in ghost form because he wasn't talking to his wife before ghost form.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And I just kind of, just that feeling of despair. I don't know that anybody does it any better than he does it here in a movie that's not what the point of the movie is.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a movie all about a bad marriage that does it better, but nothing is good. I've never seen a superhero movie do it this effectively.
No.
That is a really good point, Bruce. I never thought about that before. It really is. I mean, there is so much despair in that house.
And it makes me wonder what kind of home life Shyamalan had growing up. I don't know anything about his personal background, but he seems to have been really affected. Maybe his parents lived this horrible, loveless marriage for years for his benefit or something.
I'm not looking that up.
I could be wrong, but if memory serves, his parents were pretty present and like. And again, this is all going off of memories that are like easily 15 plus years old. I think he's actually a Christian as well, if memory serves. I know it's not very often for Indian people, but it happens.
Hey, my dad's a Christian, been married 4 times, so you can see how bad marriage is.
Well, I'm just saying from what I remember. I'm not judging. Okay. I'm not saying those things are mutually exclusive. Let me rephrase that. That I didn't mean.
He's really rolling along on that Adam is right thing tonight, isn't he?
I did
throwing things around like they're facts.
I did. Hey.
Both of the parents are still very involved with the little boy, just not at the same time. And I just seem to feel like some weird feelings of deja vu. Like I had friends and their parents seemed like they were always at everything, and then as soon as the friend graduated high school, moved out, boom, those parents were gone.
Yeah,
they only stayed together till the kid was old enough that they could leave each other.
Yep.
And some that I know that probably still should, but it is what it is.
Yeah, my parents are 2 of them. They should not be together anymore.
It happens.
Oh man.
But no, it's done really, really well. I love that relationship, and this and it says a lot too, because the son is kind of floating back and forth. He's sleeping with his dad and stuff, and mom's downstairs, and so it's all spatial. Everything is shot in very kind of like the drabbest of colors. It's lovely.
Seeing the kid from Unbreakable on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last year was such a surprise, or maybe it's second year. Such a surprise, and a good one too.
Now, something we got to talk about before we run out of time, because I know we got questions about it like via Facebook or whatever. Let's talk about the weightlifting scene.
Okay.
Oh, it's the best scene in the movie.
Is it though?
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Okay, well, I'll let you guys tell me.
It's such a dirge. This movie is such a dirge, Bruce. Like, think about how joyless the last couple Superman movies have been, where there's nothing fun or funny about them. Him in the basement, that is such a great scene. I love it so much.
I do love that they, I mean, what does a full bucket of paint weigh? 8 pounds. So he puts an extra 32 pounds with the paint buckets on it. That's kind of a nice touch. Like, at that point, do you really need the paint buckets?
It was so great where it's just like, but it leads up to a good line before that. But before that, it leads to the good line of just like, what else can we put on? And then that's when you have the straight cut and it's duct taped on there onto the bar and everything to make sure it doesn't fall off. It's really wanting to push that thing. So
I like that. I just wish they'd pushed it just a little bit more. For me personally, I would have liked it better if it was 500 pounds instead of 350.
Okay, so you wish it was the deleted scene that was in this movie.
I haven't seen the deleted scene, but tell me all about it.
Okay, so there's a deleted scene that's on the DVD and Blu-ray and everything where he kind of wants to push it a little bit further. Now, the reason that this scene doesn't work, and it was very smart they pulled it out, was that he does it. Obviously, we know his job is security at the college football facility. And so it's after a game or a practice or some such nonsense. I think practice from the looks of it. So after practice and everything, everybody's in the weight room. They're all giving each other high fives, slapping each other in the butts, doing what football players do. All right. And so he's kind of watching everybody, but everybody's kind of towards the door. He decides, hey, I'm going to go over there. Why he does this when so many people are around is just beyond my knowledge. But he goes back to the weight bench there and puts on approximately 500 pounds, as he mentions, under his breath after he did it. But stacks up all the weight and everything and does 2 good reps, just as always. And of course, everybody in the room has quieted down and is looking at him and was like, what the heck is this? He's like, and you hear somebody in the back, he lifts more than you and all that kind of crap. It's kind of unnecessary because you've already done it. But he just...
you only need to do it once. I agree. Yeah. You don't do it twice. But I would have liked to see 350 is a lot, man. 350 is a lot, but I have met people that can do that. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen him do something that pushes it like Captain America level, where it's like maybe an Olympic athlete could do it, but for the most part, you don't expect people to do that.
By and large, they aren't Bruce Willis's size, though. Bruce Willis is not a giant man.
Man, I just saw a 135-pound woman in Iceland bench press 317.
Icelandic people are different. We all know that.
Well,
the Lord did not create them equally.
She's actually from Lincoln County, North Carolina, but she went to Iceland to set a world record.
Oh, she's got that mule power then. That don't count either.
Yeah, she's 135 pounds, and she's almost outdoing Bruce Willis there. She didn't even need paint buckets to do hers. And also, we need to say a little bit about the dangers of bench pressing without a proper spotter.
Oh, my God.
I'd like to see the alternate take where that was the end of the movie and Bruce Willis died underneath the weights while his son watched on screaming.
I was waiting for it's like, well, how much did you take off? Oh, you put more on? Time for a beating.
Or I wanted to see the scene, honestly, where they put so much on. Like, I feel like I've seen this in the 80s, and he starts pushing up, and he's pushing hard enough that the bar bends, but the bar's not strong enough to raise the weights. I always like that kind of scene too.
Now the bar does have a little bit of a bend to it, which is nice.
Yeah, but yeah. I would like to see the full-on Looney Tunes.
You just want to see him lifting a Mack truck or something.
I gotta tell you, Bruce, you are literally the only person I've ever heard say that they don't like that scene.
He's like, why can't he lift a tractor trailer?
That was a good Bruce impression.
I thought so. Bruce might have popped off for a second. He'll call back.
I think he did.
But I think that's a fantastic scene, but definitely not needed in the for the second bit. No, thankfully they decided to excise that out. So I think after that, the big thing to me is probably. Let's see. I kind of want to go in order here. I don't want to skip out too much. Again, we talked about the art scene, him just yelling at the guy. That was fantastic. But yeah, I thought it was really.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yes.
Okay, so
see, even the internet didn't want you to like that.
I'll just say my final words on that. I understand they want to leave that narrow margin of plausibility there, but later in the movie they give the guy ESP, so let him bench press 500 pounds.
Case the defense rests.
You are literally the only person I've ever heard who does not like that scene in Unbreakable.
No, I like it. I just would like it better if it was 500 pounds.
I demand more for my Shyamalan picks.
Yeah, if he sent me a screener and I sent back notes, I would say 500, not 350. And
Literally
only 100 pounds can be actual weights. The rest have to be household items that are taped to the end of the bars.
Literally all you have to do is just write, ADR a line in, for heaven's sake. Just say it's 500. I'll send you a special edition copy that has me just going 500 right whenever he says that, and that'll
They
fix
should have
it.
just dubbed over each of those paint buckets weigh 100 pounds.
In a staccato robot voice.
Yeah.
I'll
Have Dave Coulier do the voiceover. It'll be just as convincing as when he did it for Richard Pryor in Critical Condition.
Perfect.
I did not know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
Okay. So, I don't know. What else? Should we talk a little bit more about Elijah and wrap this thing up?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Elijah tumbling down those stairs in the train station because he has to know whether or not David Dunn really does have this extrasensory perception. And it's a nice scene where you see both the pain in his body as he's literally being broken going down those stairs and like the elation in his eyes when he realizes he's right about David.
It's really, really good. I love the cane shattering. Sam Jackson says he chose the glass cane. How much truth there is to that, I don't know, but something goes, maybe, but maybe not.
I had a plexiglass replica a few years back.
I don't know. You just turned into a super robot. Try again.
I had a plexiglass replica of that glass cane a few years back.
Oh, wow. See, this,
Wow.
Is how serious he takes it. You really thought Mr. Glass was the good guy, didn't you?
Oh yeah, man. He's the real hero of this movie.
But, no, go ahead.
And, just a little bit more about Mr. Glass. When he creeps on Robin Wright, I mean, there's no way in a city as big as Philadelphia that he was randomly assigned her as his physical therapist. I mean, he's targeting her, and that whole creepy and rocks the cradle kind of turn of events is really nice too.
Mm-hmm.
It's surprising to me that there were people who didn't realize he was a villain until the end, but I guess they're out there.
Yeah, it's really weird. But the oddest part to me about all of it is really kind of looking back and kind of thinking, how did we not see this? There's so much of it where we're just like, well, this is plain as day. Like watching it back, you're just like, how thick were we in 2000 to where? But I think he did such a good job with just saying, hey, that's the milieu of what's kind of going on here, and because I think, again, it also goes down to Bruce Willis's character being able to just kind of just punch that down at every opportunity of like.
It's a sleight of hand also, though, Adam, where you're literally wondering the first time you watch this movie, is he a superhero or isn't he? And we'll find out at the end. So you're not paying attention to what Mr. Glass is doing. Mm-hmm. You're paying attention to David Dunn.
Right.
And so, you kind of give Samuel Jackson a pass on all that stuff because the character is weird and Samuel Jackson likes playing weird characters. So the first time that you're watching that movie, you're not thinking, oh, he's a mastermind. Like you're just thinking, oh, he's an eccentric guy and he's looking for superheroes because he owns an original artwork store.
And has a Maurice Moss haircut.
I was thinking Frederick Douglass.
Well, it was actually modeled after Frederick Douglass, believe it or not.
I do believe it.
Oh, there you go. Another fun fact from Adam.
So the last big scene in this movie is him saving those people. Saving the people in the house and him brushing up against.
But
I'm blanking on the actor's name now. Sorry. The guy who's the janitor at the station, Chance Kelly. Yeah, he brushes up against Chance Kelly's character, who's in that orange suit, and that guy has clearly taken hostages, and he might have killed people. We're not sure, but he's been living in that house, and David Dunn goes to save the kids who live there.
It's really good, and again also shows like the great, because we've established again earlier in the movie his kind of problems with water and everything, but also a great another great thing that he does, save for one scene where we flash back to him in the car accident, when he was younger, the majority of the things that are in this are just told to us. We don't have, and that's such a bold move to really sit there and just go, the spoken word is going to tell you all that you need to know about this. And just to be able to sit there with that and just have that be it shows a level of restraint that most people, especially people of the magnitude that he was at this particular time, is kind of astounding.
Well, the other part to it too is think of the onions that you have to have that your second movie up does not have a classic 3-act structure in it. Mm-hmm. You know, because this doesn't have it. This is literally the first act of a screenplay. And so he takes his time. And you know, I love the end of this movie also. It's one of my favorite scenes, and I totally forgot about it, where, you know, he's reading the paper in the morning and his son comes in and he slides the paper over. So his son can read the headline. Like, that is just a really, really great scene to me.
And such a strong performance out of both of them. And not a word said. Oh, it's so good. Again, it's that being able to sit back and have the courage to do all that, and, you know, is, again, unfounded of somebody that would be in that position at that time.
And I love the way the artist drew Poncho Man there.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, looked good.
Great with the I love the rain and everything, and again, such a smart move to do that. And I love the fact, you know, just falling down on a covered swimming pool, because, you know, a regular person would have a problem with that, much less a guy who has a really hard time taking on water. And I like that we have the girls that he, you know, kind of rescued there, you know, throwing in the pole, helping him out and everything.
And I love the way they just stood there motionless after they helped him. I don't know. I just felt something was cool about that, the way they just became background once he got out of the pool.
And it's
so good.
And also such a great thing when one of them that he, you know, with the untying and everything, you know, and it just kind of the fall right over. You know, a lesser filmmaker would have had somebody get up and give the big thank you. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm out. Just like what would happen. Just fall
that
over
ain't
and like
this movie. That ain't
this movie. So good.
I know.
So any other anything else that we've kind of touched on?
Did we gloss over the cameo of Shyamalan here?
I think we should, because that's usually the lowlights of most. Honestly, retrospect,
there's some importance in that scene though, because this importance is he has these premonitions when he makes contact with people, but he doesn't know that they're always right. So he follows Shyamalan, pats him down, and realizes that his premonition was wrong in the case of Shyamalan. So it's a big leap of faith to stalk this guy in the orange to see if his premonition's right or wrong.
Yeah. And it wasn't as bad as I remember it being, because like he did have like a tendency to kind of do the cameos, and like, you know, Hitchcock was in and out in 2 seconds, right? He sticks around and just goes, "You're gonna watch me be me for a little while. Hope you enjoy it." And he didn't do that. That's what he did, and it wasn't as bad as I remember, but still wasn't great.
That's because he hadn't gotten bad with it yet. Like his cameo in Signs is terrible. His cameo in Lady in the Water is awful.
I think Village is fine, because you don't really see him much.
Yeah,
you see a little bit of a reflection, but that's about it. So it's not terrible. But then again, he's got a very distinctive voice, so you know what he sounds like.
Yeah.
So it's not like, shucks, you know. But overall, very, very good. Now, before we get down to our final grades for this, we got to find out how this movie relates back to our good friend Sylvester Stallone. Shawn, I think this might be a layup for you.
You would think that. Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Bruce Willis plays the main character David Dunn in Unbreakable. He also owned a chain of crappy restaurants with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone in the 90s called Planet Hollywood that I never bothered going to, because I don't care what the guitar Brandon Fraser used in the movie Airheads looks like up close. So there's your Stallone connection, HMPers. Now, guy who talks a lot about nothing and guy who knows too much about comic books, let's review this movie. You know what? In the words of Mr. Glass, hold on a second. I didn't fall butt backwards into a long-running comedy bit so I could make some easy connection that anyone with a simple understanding of IMDb could make. I came to bring the business.
Oh, goodness.
Did M. Night Shyamalan Did M. Night Shyamalan give up when his movies became a running joke? Heck no. How about after he single-handedly destroyed what could have been one of the greatest film franchises in history with The Last Airbender, and people were calling for his retirement from movie making altogether? Did M. Night Shyamalan pack his gym bag and join the circus like so many of us have considered? Heck no. He kept going. He kept making movies like The Happening, a movie that wanted you to believe plants were trying to kill us and that Mark Wahlberg was a science teacher. Still, he kept going. So if I've learned two things from M. Night Shyamalan, it's that you can have a wacky twister at the end of your movies. Go ahead and throw that bad boy in there. And you never give up when things look rough. So, in the spirit of championism, today's Stallone connection is not the easy layup of Bruce Willis, but instead, Leslie Stevenson. Ooh. Leslie Stevenson is the actress who plays the role of Kelly, who happens to be the attractive young lady that sits next to Bruce Willis in the beginning of the movie on the train. Well, turns out Leslie Stevenson also plays the role of the General's daughter in a movie called The General's Daughter.
Oh.
She was also born in Fargo, North Dakota. She's 5'11", which is tall for an actress, and she has a son with fellow actor James Spader. Oh. Good job by you, Spader. Good job indeed. Leslie Stevenson was also in a movie called Burn Hollywood Burn, which we've talked about on HMP before. And while if you get three people in a room, they'll never agree on anything ever, everyone can agree that Burn Hollywood Burn is a terrible, awful, no good movie. And Burn Hollywood Burn stars none other than tanning bed owner Sylvester Stallone. Leslie Stevenson is a very good-looking lady who has weird taste in dudes, and I haven't seen her do enough to know if she's a good actress or a bad one, but let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say she's a good one. Now, there you have it, HMPers, this week's Stallone Connection. Now, guy who talks a lot about nothing and guy who's building his own universe, let's review Unbreakable and talk about other movies that probably don't have anything to do with Unbreakable.
Bravo, sir. Bravo. I was just sit there, just be like, like it put me on a roller coaster of emotions, and I liked, and at the end I was going, good ride. So let's get down to it here on Hero Movie Podcast. We got our own crazy Robin rating system. You can check it out by going to facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast. Bruce, where does Unbreakable from 2000 fall on the patented Robin rating system for you, sir? And Bruce is dead. He's gone. What do you got?
Well, I'll tell you, man. I remember loving this movie, and after watching it this past week, I still love this movie. I love everyone in it. I think everyone does an amazing job. This is Shyamalan at his best, which is what makes it so sad when he just kept making terrible movies over and over again. Mm-hmm. But, so did George Lucas. Mm-hmm. So I think... I don't know if this is going to be considered like a wow, really? But I've got to give this a Dick Grayson. This is one of the best superhero movies ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Bruce, what do you got?
I've got to give this a Dick Grayson, despite the fact I wanted 500 pounds, despite the fact I wanted more ambiguity at the beginning. When I have to get that ridiculous to point something out, that means it's a darn good movie, and it's a different kind of movie. It remains a different kind of movie. There haven't been a bunch of copycats. It's a special movie, man. I'm going to give this the Dick Grayson.
Absolutely. Dick Grayson's all around then, gents, because this movie, nice. it held up so darn well. I was really, I can't say I was shocked, but I was just like, maybe it fell off just a little bit, but it really, really didn't. And it just shows what you can do, when they kind of let you do whatever you want, And he really was at that point in his career, and I think he's getting back there. because he's
Yeah,
doing
I
some
hope so.
he's doing some low budget stuff that's really starting to get there. His last 2 outings were really good and stuff. So I'm excited to see where this guy's career goes after this. So good stuff.
Maybe Fantastic Four is the next thing he'll do.
Well, he does say he does say he wants to direct at least an episode of Stranger Things. That was kind of
You
on
would
his
be
radar.
great at that. That's perfect.
Yeah, it would be up his alley, I believe. So a lot of people are like, no, and I'm just like, why not? He's kind of redeemed himself, and
He's a really good director when he doesn't have like his "I'm the Prince of all movies" crown on.
He's working hard to bring back Tales from the Crypt, I believe, which is another comic book property.
Now, he may be screwing that up in the fact that he said there's going to be no Crypt Keeper, and if you have no Crypt Keeper, what in the wide world of sports is the point? But okay, sure.
Just interesting, twisty stories. Bah.
Well, he did, and it was great watching the Unbreakable special features there, and, like, he basically does go, like, look, I love the Twilight Zone. I just do that kind of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, you do. Absolutely. Yeah. And in many cases, really darn well, too. So next week, we had a big debut here on the CW. The CW is sure shooting as we think, oh, they've really tapped all the comic book stuff that they can. The CW says, oh, really, fool? Watch this sucker, and then plops another one on you, and you're like, gosh, well, I guess we have to deal with another comic book show. So we're going to be reviewing the first 2 episodes of Riverdale next week. So, Archie, Jughead, and the gang are all back, and we're going to be reviewing that. I think we're going to have, we talked about it a little bit, but I think we're going to have very different opinions on this as well. So if you actually watch those episodes by the time that you before we do the show and everything, email us, heremoviepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of that. We'd love to read it here on the show. Until then, Shawn, where can we find all of your work on the internet this week, sir?
You can find me on television at Cinemax with the show Outcast.
Oh.
And you can find me on Twitter at Hero Movie Show.
Very nice. Mr. Leslie?
Well, there's always heroes and villains. It's been mentioned a few times. Chubby Wizard. But more importantly, guys, go to Amazon and pick up my 5-star rated debut novel, Dragon in the Needles. The ebook is $1.99. You can't beat that. If you want to get the paperback, you can go to chubbywizard.com. There's a link to order it. You can order the paperback from Amazon. And, of course, iBooks, if you do the Apple thing, also has Dragon in the Needles. Read it and let me know what you think. Please, people.
Very, very nice. And, of course, the Film Find, we're back up and running there. We got the Resident Evil movie coming up this week and much, much more. Thank you guys for that kick in the pants and everything. We're getting back into the game, man. And speaking of back in the game, I'm not only going to give you the Film Find, I'm not only going to give you H&P, I'm doubling down with everything, man. So starting next Monday, at, fingers are crossed that it's going to be at noon. I think that's about the time I'm going to do it. 5 days a week, I'm going to stream an hour's worth of content in a news show. And hopefully I won't, run out of stuff to say. But
Impossible.
I will tell you that is that is absolutely naturally impossible for you to do that, Adam.
Who, little old me? But it's called Nerd Talk now. You can look us up on Twitter, Facebook, and all that kind of good stuff. But I'm going to be streaming on Twitch, so it's going to be live video. It's going to be me talking. Hopefully, eventually, I'll get in some guests, some other things. But it's going to be a roundabout kind of nerd everything, whether it be everything from comics to video games, movies, whatever it is. I want to have fun, man, and that's what we're going to do.
A video component.
Yeah, I'm gonna be streaming video right onto Twitch. We're gonna put it up on YouTube later. You're gonna get a regular audio podcast as per usual. Maybe make me part of your day, man.
Tank top?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have lost a little bit of weight, but it's gonna be a while before Adam gets into a tank top. I'll tell you that.
I'm just trying
right
to
now.
sweeten the deal for people.
What about a tube top?
Tube top, yes.
Halter top.
I always said, man, this is, me and a tube top and a hockey mask. That's all you need for a good date. Beats the heck out of me. So Nerd Talk now. Well, I'll keep you updated on everything. So that'll start next week. That is it, everybody. Thank you again so much for listening. If you're part of our Patreon people, stay tuned for our kind of little bonus review after this and everything. Until then, for Shawn, Keenan, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Goodbye, Marty. You need me.
Unbreakable, they alive, damn it. It's a miracle. Unbreakable, they alive, damn it. But females are strong and
gonna be, fascinating transition.
Damn it!